Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back on into the Blue Collar Psychiatrist. I am the Blue Collar Psychiatrist with a new video for you today, and it's called The Sweet Spot. Now, what do we mean by the sweet spot? I'll give you an example. When a golfer is hitting a ball, he can tell almost right away whether it was a good shot by the sound of the club face against the ball. And that's called the sweet spot. It also happens in baseball. When a batter hits a ball that was thrown by a pitcher, he can also tell by the sound of the ball hitting the bat whether it's going to be a hit or not. In life, there is a sweet spot. But in this case, we're talking about a sweet spot in terms of timing and spending time. I can think of no better example than Kenny Rogers' song called The Gambler. And in that song, he said, you got to know when to hold 'em and you got to know when to fold 'em. And that pretty much sums up everything in life. In life, everything is about timing. In life, there are certain periods of time when you have to do certain things, where you have to experience certain things in order to get the most out of life. For example, dating. You've heard me make many videos about dating. And I have said repeatedly that the sweet spot for dating is in your high school and college years. Now, I realize that this has been pushed back in terms of age in more recent times, but still I say, let's say in comparison to dating in your 50s, dating in that sweet spot of high school or college is the accurate time to do it. It just seems to be the sweet spot. If you wait till you're older, you meet people who have a lot of baggage in their life, and it can be very difficult. They may have exes in their life, ex-husbands, ex-wives, and so it can be very difficult. So the sweet spot is when you date in college or high school. It's just a fresher situation. Now, you have to know what you're doing. I'm not saying that you can just go willy-nilly, blindfolded into a dating situation in high school or college. I'm not saying that. But what you have to understand is that all things being equal, that is the time, that is the sweet spot of dating. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this to you. You have to discover the sweet spot in life. And this is where the timing issue comes in. You have to be able to spend your time in the most judicious way possible, as I have told you before. You have to be able to know when to make a decision. And that's where this comes into play. It's making decisions at the right time in your life. It could be also, let's say, deciding when to leave a city and make a move. As I told you before, I had a friend many years ago called Bernie. And he was very shy, and he lived in the same city as I did, and he was sort of a nerd like I was. And he told his mother, I'm going to go 100 miles up north, and I'm going to college there. There's nothing for me in this town. Sure enough, he went up there, applied himself to his studies, but also met a young lady whom he married and later had children with. See, that was the sweet spot for him. He didn't wait until he was 30, 40, or 50 to move out. to move to another city. He knew that the city was not good for him. And that's the thing that we have to understand in life. It's that there is a sweet spot. You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Timing. It's not just, it's not just, how can I say this in the right way? It's not just making a decision. It's making a decision, making a correct decision at the right time in your life. And this is what I'm telling you today. You have to know when enough is enough. You have to know when it's time to move on to, let's say, to, in this case, to another city. It's time to change schools. It's time to change majors. It's time to get married to a certain person, but not to another person. All these, it's constant decision making in our lives that are interwoven with the passage of time. And you have to be aware of this. Sometimes it's a sixth sense that tells you when to go. Listen to that sixth sense, unless it's something really, really, really crazy and inappropriate. But we have to follow our inner self and what is that we want to do with our lives. So, ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to look for the sweet spot, look for that sweet spot, and you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. That is the secret of a successful life. It's all about the timing. Ladies and gentlemen, I remind you to drink and to drink abundantly from the fountain of life. See you next time.